Hang on, I'm live. But why is that like that? Hold on. Ah! Don't know why. It's just really weird. Is that better? Ha ha! Had to clean the lens. All right. I'm here. Hang on. I'm not going to be on very long. Just a wee bit tired. Oh, I'm live. There I am. Hello, everybody. Oops. There's my messy little house. Ah, scary. Hi. Whew. It is a full moon. I'm on. I was going to be on about an hour ago. I was kind of exhausted. Um, Worked today, so it was a wee bit of a long day. Uh, and I'm sitting in my chair. There's my tree, tree. There's my tree. There we go. I've got to go with this side. So yeah, there's my little tree behind me. I and Full moon. So a few things. So one, Jupiter is going to be conjunct with this full moon. The full moon is on 23-24 degrees, just right around the galactic center. We also have that this moon in the opposition to Pluto, um, in Aquarius, or this full moon. Yeah, Mars in an opposition to Pluto. So we have that's going on. And it's squaring our favorite planet in the whole world, our favorite planet, Saturn. So Saturn is getting squared in all of this. So there's quite a lot when it comes to wanting to get things together, trying to get our communications going. Um, One of which is a huge thing, because with Mercury, it's just trying to get the thoughts going, trying to get the movement going. And with Mars, I mean, and Mercury is going to be going forward, or it should be going forward in a few hours. And then you have Mars retrograde, and Mars retrograde in Leo. So, energy wise, it's like I want to get going. I want to get doing things and just kind of feeling stuck, right? So, um, that can be a really big part of your motivation, of maybe why you're not getting, say, Christmas shopping done, or you're not, doing the baking or getting what it is that you need done, because it's hard to get that motivation, hard to get things going and moving. And this full moon, especially with a Saturn square to it, just is sort of like, and it's in Pisces, kind of making you feel not grounded, maybe sort of trying to grasp for things feeling just really out of sorts. Now, I did a little bit of a meditation with this moon as I was staring at it. And it's a beautiful moon. Like, the moon is absolutely gorgeous. And it looked like this, it just looked so perfect in the sky, as I was looking. And the thing that I kept on receiving is, don't be afraid of the chaos that is going to begin to unfold. And I, as I was thinking, I like, well, chaos. Okay, what kind of chaos are they talking about? What kind of craziness am I receiving? And I'm thinking of, the goddess Kali, because the goddess Kali is the goddess of chaos. And they said, no, it's not a chaos that we have known before. It is not a way that we have lived before. And so this is bringing us in this transformation, and I'm going to say transmutation. We're going to be going through this transmutation and changes, especially with this full moon and with the squares over to Saturn and the opposition with Pluto. It is wanting for us to allow ourselves to go through this craziness, this craziness that's coming forward, so that we're able to really be stronger, be more connected with one another because that's very Aquarius. Like Aquarius wants to have somewhat of a connection, got like somewhat of a connection, but still want to be in control. God bless Aquariuses. They want to have that, connection. They want to know, but it's still very, I'm going to say pliable, very changing. So it is, it's in this crazy, chaotic way. And couple things that came to me with this full moon, 'cause it's the very first full moon with Pluto in Aquarius, like Pluto being in Aquarius permanently. So this is the first one. Second is, I lost my train of thought. Second is we have ended a huge era with the Pluto and the whole thing of the age of Aquarius, the age of coming into air. So air is very scientific. Air is wanting to to understand things, to know things, to learn things, right? That's air. And I feel like I'm right in your face, so I have to pull this back. So we ended the era, say, of Earth. We ended this time of Earth, entering into this new frequencies of air. And with Pluto, and especially with the Pluto transit, this Pluto transit with we started we started in 2008 with Obama's coming in, and we ended in 2024 with basically that whole era of the Obamas, of Biden, of Clinton, and all of them. They're going to be leaving, like this that whole sort of, that we had this beginning and now we're going into an ending to a new beginning. And the new beginning for some people is very scary. It's a very unknown. Um I wouldn't, from what, looking at things, like I'm not putting, like, a lot of people are feeling like Trump and is the savior. No, by no means is that where I'd put all my, put all my ducks in, but this is where it's getting us to head towards a change, a change in a direction. And this full moon with the Sag and the Gemini, the mutability is change. Mutability is the change. It's the end of the seasons. It's getting us to look at things differently. It's getting us to prepare. What are you preparing for? Like, right now it's Christmas. We're preparing for Christmas. We're preparing for the changes to come forward. We're preparing for winter, and how winter is going to be engulfing us. Now, a few things with all of this mutability and change. Working in the mall has been quite the experience, what I've noticed. And the biggest thing I've noticed is we're not busy. We're not busy, even though it's Christmas season and stuff like that. And I'm finding, even as I walk around to other stores, they're not jam packed. People aren't jamming, like coming in and shopping the way that they used to. So there's a change in, say, people spending. And yes, you can say people may be spending more online. That could be, but I'm just noticing that people aren't spending the way that they used to. Secondly, looking at, for people preparing in the groceries. It could be everybody's ordering online. That could be. Is it cheaper? I don't know if it's cheaper. You know? I mean, that's the whole thing. I think a lot of people don't have the money, right? And if you look at, I mean, I'm going to just take where I work. If you come into the store, it is the same price as what you would pay online. So it wouldn't be any different. Um but I think it just feels like people just don't have the money, and they're looking at things cheaper, or wanting to find things cheaper, and not wanting to possibly go out. But that's mutability. That's part of a lot of the craziness and the changes that are going to be that are coming forward, where people are not going to be, you know, getting, or just the changes, just I don't know what am I trying to say. Just within these changes, people and the connections. People are looking for a different type of connection. They're not looking for a connection with the hustle and the bustle and the craziness of the mall. They're looking for something that is more meaningful, something that brings in some substance, right? And they're looking for an inner core connection. And that's part of this full moon, is wanting to look for that, wanting to look for that truth, that connection, that oneness that we can find within a community, within some kind of connection. Yet people are feeling extremely strapped and overwhelmed by it all. That's it in a nutshell. A few other factors that are coming in, and I think it was the Leo King that was mentioning that this Mars opposition to Pluto, and he went really far back, but these transits, some of these transits haven't been around since 1886 BC. That is when Isaiah, who lived to be 180 years old, died. That was in the era, if you're doing a biblical timeline, was when Jacob in the Technicolors, the coat, Technicolor coat, when he interpreted Pharaoh's dreams. And as he interpreted Pharaoh's dreams, he got in favor with Pharaoh. So that was that era, right? So it was very, yeah, it was very prolific. There was a lot of um great cities being built and things like that. There's also some really crazy wars that were having happening at that time as well. So you can see that, and also with that, there were times of great change that were coming in. So this full moon, I want people just to find that connection that they need. I'm a wee bit tired, so I'm a little bit all over the place right now. But to find that within the craziness and the chaos, what it is that they are wanting for this 2025, and what that 20 hey, get over here. Get off there. What that 2025 means to them. Because I think this is sort of a kickoff for us to begin. So I think this full moon is beginning to give us that kickoff of some of the changes that are coming through. What do you want, my dog? Ugh. What do you want? There's nothing there. You can't go underneath the covers. Go there. So I don't know what you want. You can't. No, you can't. You can't. I don't know where you're going. That's a dumb spot. Anyways, the no, the cat left. I did have the cat and the dog on me, but then the cat kept stretching her paw out and slowly putting her claws, like how they need, like just pretending to sort of knead her with her sharp little claws, and I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, no, it's just the dog, and yeah. It's acupuncture, exactly, it's acupuncture. I don't every time she touched her, she'd cry, "Woo, woo, wee, wee, wee." It's a big baby, aren't you? Yes, you're a big baby. Yeah, it's a cat style. It's just, she was just trying to be nice to you, little snotty dog. Yeah, love you. But I just feel like this full moon is sort of the kickoff, the kicker of bringing in some really big, and they're going to be big dramatic changes within people's lives. And I think this is also where not only will it be where, like some of the craziness when it comes to AI and um, the computer world and where that's leading, which is very interesting, to where people are wanting to get back down to something that is more wholesome and connective and sort of I got that connective oneness that they can have with other people, and this moon is wanting to really bring this forth and give that to people. And but we have to connect with ourselves in order to do that, if that makes any sense. I know. Crazy me, just all over the place. I know I just wanted to come out and connect with people. I wanted to come out and connect with people tonight. And yeah, I'm gonna just throw it out because even though I'm just we but if anybody has any questions, like, that's the whole thing. I know I do this spontaneously, and I ask people if they have any questions, and then I just get, like, crickets. But, um, yeah, if you guys are curious about some things and you want to ask questions, definitely. I'm gonna throw it back out you if you guys have questions about this full moon, if you have questions about any of the transits that are coming up, if you have questions about anything right now. So I'm throwing it out there and asking you guys if you want to ask a question, kind of like a little mini reading. I'm not going to draw a card because my cards are on the other side and I'm not getting up right now. I'm not getting up. So if you want to ask a question. Oh, the drones. What about the drones? First of all, okay, the drones. Um, they're not UFOs. They're not EAP or whatever that is on a So, first of all, people have to the United States is has some of the greatest technology in the world. The United States does. And the United States military are very advanced, farther advanced than what we know. Like, they're very advanced. And they were given money to do special testings back in 2023. And a lot of people are freaking out and they're thinking that this is an invasion, or this is that there is something, but it's it's military. Okay, so it has to do with military. It has to do with testings with military. So and for them, one, they're not going to tell you what it is. They're not going to tell you what it is. And the reason being is that they don't want the public panicking if some kind of craziness comes in or attack comes in. So they're not going to let the people know that um that they're doing this military to ward off any protection, right? When it comes to attacks or anything else. So that's the other thing. But it is military. They are over military sites. One guy did shoot a drone down, and yeah, he's in jail right now and he's not allowed to talk to anybody. So so it has to do with military. It has to do with military. Um, so yeah. Timeline for things to really kick off in Europe. Well, I don't know. Well, things are really I'm not sure if you've been following how much you've been following in Europe. So Macron is he the governments basically have called him that to step down, but he's not stepping down. Germany's having a lot of issues within their own country. Everything for things to really start kicking off will be in March and April of next year. And you're really going to start things really starting to tighten. More people are going to get uprising in England and in Ireland. We're going to start seeing a lot more people uprising because of the immigration issues that they're having there. Um, and that's going to be hitting more into the you know the beginning of the new year between January and March. And that's with the Mars retrograde, and then when Mars goes into Cancer, we also are having the nodes change. So the nodes are going to be changing as well. So we have that, and that's really going to start to activate things, along with Neptune going into Aries. Then we also have Jupiter leaving Gemini and going into Cancer. So, and then we also have Uranus going. So this is all happening within the first 3 months or so, three to to April of next year. So we have all of these changes that are happening up here, which are really going to be affecting things unfolding within, not only within Europe, but within China. And then you're funny. Then the other big thing is in 2026. I'm going into 2026. The Neptune Saturn conjunction, because Neptune and Saturn don't conjunct until 2026 in Aries. And that is going to be a huge kick, a huge change when it comes into China. So there's a whole changing that's going to be happening within China as well, and how things are going to start going in China, because there's going to be a lot that's going to be coming down. I got China coming, something coming in with China as well. So there's a lot, and something to do with the Chinese. I don't know what you call him. I know dictator. Uh, there's something with his within his chart is affecting the chart of China, and is really will be causing a lot of trouble. So China's going to be having a lot of trouble coming in within the next year and a half. I'm going to say year and a half. We're gonna see some crazy things with that, with China, and that also comes in and how it affects. I mean, China's gonna the United. You think the United States affects the world? You got to think China. When things start going crazy in China, they're already having problems financially. But then you look at how many things that they do for the rest of the world. Not only making things, but refineries and things along that line, and that has a big issue that's happening too. The other part too is as we are going into these next several years, um, older people are going to be really feeling they're going to have a harder time. So I'm going to say the Gen X's, the baby boomers and the Gen X's are going to have a hell of a time over the next several years, and going into more of Pluto into Aquarius are going to have a really harder time, because a lot of cutbacks, a lot of things, when it either comes from old age pension to any kind of securities that they have. And even if they've had investments, some that may not be there anymore. So that's going to be unfolding too. So that's all part. Yeah, sucks to be us. That's all part of the community too. So that's all part about how are you connecting? How are you building community um, with others? And that's a huge piece that because Capricorn was the building of community, and now Aquarius, and a lot of people think Aquarius because it's about humanity and everything. But Capricorn sets the tone to how Aquariuses need to put it all together. So it's putting things together, which is going to be interesting over the next several years when it comes to people of the elderly. Okay. Yeah. Yes, let's form a community, definitely. Yes. Um, you asked about Trudeau. So Trudeau's also a funny one. Trudeau's not going anywhere as of yet. The craziness and everything that is coming into Canada, Canadians are going to have a rougher time because they've been too complacent, right? They're not going to have a no confidence. It's not going to happen. Um, Turban Boy is still too far up, and plus, the other thing too is Trudeau has a lot of shit on people, and they're going to just continually back him until they can't back him, right? Until things really get exposed. So I mean, will he last until the election? That's an interesting like there could be something that happens sometime in the middle of August with Trudeau, either because that's I mean August, September, like there could be like the kickoff to the election. But the thing is a lot of people who are Capricorns, and with depending on their placement, but especially with with Pluto leaving, is really going to bring in more challenges for him that he's going to have. So, um, he's not going anywhere, right? Oh, you got April. No, he's still going to be here in April. Like he's still, yeah, he's still going to be here. Like he's not going anywhere. It's just going to cause more problems. Like when it comes to the economy, when it comes to the thing is that the whole Trump thing, and I've already put out the thing about Trump and my theories about that. Um, when that begins to unfold and how that looks for Canada is going to be a huge one, you know? And how um I'm going to just say how the new president of the United States handles this all with his new caucus that he's bringing forward, which is going to be really interesting group of people. And the funny thing is I know we're off of Trudeau, but Trump is already acting like the president of the United States without the power because no one's doing anything. No one's like it was I mean, Jill Biden went to the opening of Notre Dame, and it's her husband who's Catholic. Trump is not even Catholic. Like, he was there for the opening of Notre Dame along with many others, but he also got a special audience with Prince William, you know? 51st state. That would never happen. The complexity like the complexity of Canada being the 51st state. I know that's a running joke, but you have to think first of all, what does that entail? We're not Ontario, like Alberta is not Ontario. Like we run totally different than Ontario. The dealings with Quebec, like that would be a whole I just, plus you also have all the treaties with the First Nations. So it's not is that I mean there's so it's not just like when people say, oh, 51st state, it's like what? Well, he can have Ontario if Trump wants Ontario, take fucking Ontario and Quebec. Take them. I don't know if about New Brunswick and stuff like that if you want them too. But the whole thing is like it's a complexity of of the way Canada is and the diversity of Canada. And I got like the very first thing that would happen would be First Nations would be a huge issue between First Nations in the United States and how they're being treated to the First Nations in Canada and how they are being treated. Um, and the benefits that um either get too. So it's yeah, that would be just another whole kettle of fish with that too. But yeah, there's just when it comes to the political realms, when I look at it astrologically and how things are unfolding is going to be crazy. The other craziness that for unfolding is the P Diddy thing, right? And how many A-listers are running to the hills right now. So that's going to be another crazy drama that's going to be unfolding over the next because I think if he makes it till March, if Diddy makes it, I think the trial begins in March. If he makes it to March, it's going to be interesting because he just asked for no bail. And usually what that means is that he's making a deal. And since that is coming out, as soon as that not making any bail, right? This is where a lot of A-listers are really disassociating. The whole thing with like a lot of people forget J-Lo was with Diddy way back when, right? And so she was around with him doing some of the shit that he was doing at the very beginning, like whatever, allegedly doing. And the whole thing with Jay-Z and everything else and Beyonce. I mean, I've already said what I felt like with those two. I've said it for years. I've always made myself known that I never liked them. Never. Always thought they were the devil incarnate. Um, it's amazing how many, as I say, how many wolves were in sheep's clothing. And all of that is unfolding for everybody. So people are going to be starting to see um who's who, and stepping away. LeBron James, if anybody knows who LeBron James is, he's the NBA player. He's missed a few games already, which is weird, um, because he just got his son in to play with him on the Lakers team. So him and his son are playing on but he is also implicated in the whole Diddy thing as well. Like, so that's what's happening as well. So that's a huge thing. What's the difference? I'll have to research. Oh, it's a huge difference in First Nations in the United States and First Nations in Canada. I mean, the biggest one thing that they can do. I mean, people, First Nations can go across the border, Canada and the United States. Whoa, hi. They can go across the border without uh, passports or anything like that. The other thing is, with First Nations, each nation in the United States is run differently, and a lot of their treaties, yeah, have been ignored by either the state or, I mean, worse than ours. Unless they've made a lot of money, unless they're a reserve that has made a lot of money through the gambling and things like that. Uh, they don't get medical like they do here. Um, they don't get paid education. Like I know some reserves, depending on the reserve, depending how it's set up. I mean, it's they just don't get free um, education, right? They have they have to qualify to get it, and then they have to keep their grades up to get it as well. So they don't. I just had to throw that out because people think that First Nations just get free education. Anybody can get a free education no matter what. They got to qualify. Um, in the States, they don't get that. So there's quite a few things that are different. Especially the healthcare system is totally different in the States than it is in Canada. There's many reserves that and they run totally sometimes separate from the whole state themselves. So, U.S. First Nations, no, they don't get anything handed. No, it's um, and they had residential schools in the States. I mean, a lot of people from Alaska were sent down to Oregon and Washington State. So a lot of First Nations from um, Alaska, and they hold and I could be wrong in this, but when I was talking to one gentleman in the store the other day, he because he was talking about his mom, so I said if he was Métis, and they don't call themselves Métis in the States. So that's a totally that's really more of a Canadian thing, to my understanding. And he holds a blood card. It's called a blood card of like our natives have their card. So they have their card, it's a blood card. So it's totally different in setups. So between the two nations. I have to check out know nothing about the P. Diddy thing? The P. Diddy thing is horrific. Eh, I will not watch anymore. I will not watch Will Smith ever again. Like, I can't. I can't. The things that were unfolded and the things that came out about him and his wife would just yeah. Or J-Lo. I never really liked J-Lo that much. Jay-Z and stuff never were big fans. But I mean, there's other big stars that are going to be coming out that um may not have been, have some kind of like the circle and how big the circle goes and stuff like that from the Kardashians. And then you have handlers that are all involved with that too. And handlers are ones that handle people too. Tom Hanks and his wife, they go way back. Tom Hanks goes way back further than P. Diddy. Like he's yeah, that shit goes back further than that. I mean, there's such a deep, dark side to the whole Hollywood and musicians and things like that. Now, this isn't it's going to be politically handled because you don't want to destroy the music industry. But what it's going to do is do a disruption within the music industry, just like there's a disruption within the movie industry. But yet there is still some beautiful people that work within that industry that really want to create some really fabulous fabulous movies and entertainment and bringing in their imagination and allowing for that to be, you know, unfolded upon screen to music, right? But you have unfortunately you have the crazy peas in the pond, these crazy pebbles in the pond that fuck things up. So there's that. Um the Jubilee. Okay. The Catholic Church. So there's so many I was just seeing all these reports of people writing things about, "Oh my god, he's going to open up the tomb of Lucifer." Whatever. It's a jubilee that's been happening for over 600 plus years. This is the year of the jubilee. This year has been being planned for quite some time. If you are planning to go to Europe this year, I mean, with all the chaos and the craziness and everything else, this is bringing in a lot of you know, uh stuff that's going to be happening. There's going to be a lot of this is a year of pilgrimage when it comes to the Catholic Church to take the pilgrimage of going back to Rome. Um, a lot of people are going on the trail of the El Camino. If you don't know what the El Camino is, please do your research. It's a beautiful pilgrim trail that starts in France and goes all the way through Spain. Um, there's many different things that are going to be happening within communities over this next year. It goes all the way until 2026. So it's a big year. It's a big year. And they open this, I mean, they got the key out, they did a great big thing. And it's when people who one don't do their history, two don't understand the foundations of the Catholic Church, and then they make their own assumptions of what it's all about, right? And and then go by other notions and other ideas without coming back to understanding a foundation of what's going on. And and then blowing it out of proportion and being and having clickbait about the whole the whole thing. Um I think it is what it is. It's however you want to look at it. Um I think it is it I think doing a pilgrimage for whatever it is for yourself. I know a lot of people who do, like, even the El Camino, who've done it, who are non-believers, I guess. They don't have any fundamental religious attachments or belief systems and things like that, but they've done things and they've done different pilgrimages, and some have even done the one in Israel. They did the whole pilgrim of Mary and Nazareth and stuff like that, and going to Bethlehem, and some, just to, out of curiosity, just to understand things more, whatever. So I am a mushroom, but so it's one of those things that's happening as well. I know that's a lot. Best from the UK, best from the UK did the El Camino this year. Yeah. So yeah, I mean it's a beautiful hike if people want to do it. One guy I follow, his best friend does it every year. I had a few people that one couple I know did it. It's not an easy, it's not an easy sort of hike. Oh, let's go and hike. You gotta be prepared for it. You gotta make sure you're prepared to do the hike. And I think you're supposed to do like 10K a day or so, so that you can get into the hostel. And then if you get there in time, you're able to get a bed for the night and stuff like that. So, and they give you a meal and that when you're on it. So, and I think they do it by donation or something. But yeah, it's quite a transformational whoop thing. So, but changes are, like I said, there's some crazy trail changes. Now, I'm gonna go back to the Diddy thing. If anybody remembers the OJ Simpson trial, if Diddy gets on trial, it is gonna be like bigger than any trial that's ever been, because the amount of implications and the people that are going to be coming out and being put on there and on trial. So that's the thing, is like there's just going to be such extremes and craziness that's coming in, and this moon is an activation for bringing in. I mean, it's the Gemini full moon. It's conjunct Jupiter, so it's getting you prepared for the craziness and the chaos that's going to be unfolding over the next years. I don't, when it comes to financials, I mean, we're already seeing things happening with the crypto. If anybody follows that with the crypto and the AI and being hacked, and a lot of people are losing their wallets, their crypto wallets. And so there's that's unfolding. Uh, we're going to start seeing more when it comes to the banking systems and things like that. And this is where also stagflation is going to be coming in, where where people's assets are going to really depreciate very quickly, where they felt like they had a lot of, investments within certain assets, and they're going to start to really deflate on people. So a lot of stagflation is going to be hitting next year, which is not a good thing. And the other part too is that the other thing with stagflation is that people aren't going to be spending money. You're not going to see people wanting to go out and spend money, right? Stuff under the mattress. Yeah, drawing it out and putting, yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. It's a lot of people are going to be looking at, where can we hide our money? Where can we hide our silver and gold, putting things in the nabob tin and burying them in the backyard, right? Um And that sounds funny, but I knew people who did that when growing up, like literally did that growing up. A funny story. my auntie Ruth, who lived across the alley, she wasn't, anyway, she's my mom's best friend. And she came over and I was home that day and from school. I was a sickly little kid. And she came over and she goes, "June, I need you to give me a hand." I can't remember her husband's name, but he was a trucker, and I guess the truck broke down and they didn't have the money in the bank because he didn't believe in putting the money in the bank. But he said he gave her instructions over the phone on where the money was. And so it was something that she had to go, and it was so many steps she had to walk from the back door to her to this spot, and it was by something and something else and everything else. Anyways, and she dug up, and there's a whole nabob of container, so nabob coffee, tin, and it was shoved filled with cash, and she had no idea it was back there. And that's what he would that's where he'd put a lot of his money. Anyways, and so that she had to sort of put it in the bank or wire it or whatever they had to do back in the 60s, 70s, for him to get the money to get his truck fixed. A crazy story, but true. But I mean, these are the kind of crazy things, people are going to be, okay, I need to have money in my house. I can't leave it in the bank. You know, banks aren't, you're going to find where people, it's already happening, but won't be able to withdraw as much as they can withdraw because banks are going to be holding back because they're not going to be able to have that money in the bank, so they need to have some kind of cash or some kind of currency means, if you think of the word currency, it's current, so it's movement. They need to if the current isn't moving, it backs up and gets stagnant. Stagflation. So if the current isn't moving, right? So if money is not moving, if things aren't flowing, so we have to look at the political realm and um tariffs going on everything. So if Trump does the tariffs or whatever, so what does that mean, say, to Canada? Now we had Ford blow off his horn about, oh, we're going to turn off the electricity in the United States. Do you think the United States is gonna fucking care? Like, yeah, it sounds scary. There's gonna be some kind of backup. There's gonna be some kind of military. All I gotta say, I heard him say, I'm like, you just want the military on our border. That's what I got. Military on the border. But going back to the stagflation, when things stop moving, when things back up, they get stagnant. There's no movement, right? So right now at the ports, there's a lot of backup when it comes to the ships because of the strike on uh, the shipping guys were on strike in Canada here a few months ago. Went back to work, but even for them to be off, that caused a backup. So things got stagnant, right? The mail. So the mail has not been moving. It's stagnant. So stagflation, if you think about things that are going to be happening with the stagflation, things aren't moving. So what they're going to try and do is something to do with inflation, try and get things moving, try and get the economy moving, but that is actually going to just backfire for everybody as well. Yes, Steve Dorr is on strike at the docks. Yes. So there's that. So that, causes that backup. So there's supply. You're not getting what you need. There's things that aren't coming into the country, right? So we are finding that you're not able to get certain things, right? You're not able to, they're not going to be on the count, they're not going to be in your grocery store. So that's going to cause also where all of a sudden prices are going to change, where they're going to go up higher, and the worth of that item is not the worth that you're going to be paying, kind of thing. So it in history, when you go even back to the Yukon and stuff like that, um things like that happen too in place, and prices got just totally ridiculous. Before World War II, it was happening in Germany where people had to pay, a wheelbarrow of money to pay for a loaf of bread kind of thing. So we're going to start seeing some crazy events that are going to start to unfold. And especially as we like for 2025. 2025 is that year of crazy changes and transformations. It's not a year to fly. And I know a lot of people will be flying. I know a lot of people are, some people that are wanting to go to Italy and go to this. But with everything unfolding, I know they're going to try and sugarcoat it, and they're going to try and make things look really grand. But the amount of military and everything that are going to be in place for everything is going to be pretty intense, pretty intense. And we're going to see more intensity happening in London and in many of the United and many bigger centers in the States. So yeah, so that's what this moon is kind of triggering off. It's triggering all of this craziness and this um chaos and change that's coming in because it's the mutability of it all. And Mercury is just starting to go forward. I'm just going to astro.com, astro.com, see where everything is. Boom. Yeah. So yeah, so do 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 do. Yeah, so Mercury is just at a standstill. It's not going forward yet. Moon's already moved on. It's in Cancer now because that's how fast this moon happened. It was boom. And so the for activation and making the changes happen. Um Mars. Do. Just looking this up. Yeah. And with the nodes. Yeah, the nodes are in Aries. So the North Node, yeah, in the new year is going to be going into Pisces. So we're going to be dealing with Pisces and Virgo. So well, I would keep what you need to keep in the bank for what you need to pay, definitely. Like you know, it's I'm not going to tell people how much money. I know some people that took out they have quite a lot of money hidden around their house. Um But, I mean, always keep money in there to pay your bills and whatever you have to pay and then go from there. Whew, sorry. And then going from there, definitely, you know. But, yeah, just how things are going to be crazily unfolding for us all is, is going to be interesting. But with Jupiter too, you know, um, soon as Soon as Uranus, I mean, and the other thing too is like Neptune going back into Aries or going into Aries is like a huge reset time too. And that's a 164-year transit, right? So it takes Neptune 164 years to get back to the beginning, which is Aries. Aries is the beginning of the chart. So that's basically what we would say would be a full completion of Neptune around the sun would be when it gets to that 0 degrees into Aries, and we're going to be seeing that in the new year as well. So that's triggering a lot of new events, a lot of new starts. It's in Aries. We have Neptune, this water god, coming in to Aries, the god of war. And so we have this energy of power that wants to be brought out and pushed forward into initiating into the world, right? And so where's that power and that intuition that you are wanting to initiate and that you want to start into the world, right? And a lot of times people are afraid of that. They're afraid of their own power. They're afraid of that energy coming into them, and dealing with it. So this is where too a lot of innovation and new inventions and stuff will be coming on the scene as well. And we're going to be witnessing that. Maybe it's one of you guys making something new. So, and doing something along that line. So there's lots of innovation definitely coming in. Uh when every time every time and the other part is Uranus going into Gemini next year too. So when Uranus hits Gemini, um, that's an activation, and it's been an activation every time he goes into Gemini is an activation for the United States, and it's an activation of war. So that's what that happens when Uranus goes into Gemini. So and that could be, things unfolding within their own country. That's also on the world scene. The United States wants to continue to hold its power in the world. They are the world. They are the emperors of the world. That's We're in the empire, like you have the American, or you have the English Empire, you have the Roman Empire, the Greek, the Babylonian, Mesopotamia, you had the Spanish and Portuguese. So now we are in the American Empire, and that empire still wants to have reign. They still want their dollar to be number one because that's all part of the reign. The quantum computer confirming alternate universes. The quantum computer was started up, I mean, the biggest one is Google. Google has the biggest quantum computer set up, and it started up just around, I think it was 2019, 2020. It was started up, and it started up just when this it looked like an asteroid, but it was a spaceship that was in our that was um in our space, and they called it Amoa, something like that. That's what was the name of it. And it was activated very similar at the same, it came into our solar system at the same time that quantum computer was activated. So things, getting started and getting moving. And they've always I mean, when it comes to altered universes or different dimensions, um I mean, we can go back to India, um, into their holy books. They've talked about that before. You look at I mean, if you look at the Indian gods, the Hindu gods, I mean, they have them flying in spaceships and moving between things and stuff like that. Um, you have things to do with the enunciation of Christ. Christ moved, like, where did Christ, like, Christ rose up, like, it's almost like he got sucked up into a spaceship, right? Was it, or did he just fly up into a cloud? Did he move into an alternate dimension, right? So, and same with his mother Mary. So I think, I mean, they've been around. I mean, they've talked about them for um thousands of years, right? Of And they might just have different names of it, but yeah, the computer right now, the computer, the quantum computer, the supercomputer that Google has, can basically determine your move before you even do your move. It can determine what you are going to eat just by knowing things, and about you that you didn't even know you knew about your own self. So it's pretty. See, that's the age of Aquarius. That's the the things that are coming out, and it's ruled by Uranus, so there's things there that we don't even know about yet. So, um, is it self-aware? Good question. I don't think it's self-aware. No. Um, it's not, I don't think it's there yet. I don't, um, but there's such movement, like where we're moving as a society when it comes to over the next 20 years with everything in Aquarius. Aquarius is the age of change. So just to put it just very simply, for the changes that are going to be coming in, um we can go back to we can go back to 1538. So that's the time of King Henry VIII and the changes that he made upon the country, and how those changes were put out to the rest of the world, right? And how that changed, a lot of other countries, and how a lot of other countries decided that they no longer wanted to be a part of the church. What does that mean? That meant a lot to the church, and the church really wanted to keep on power, or keep that power. They wanted to keep the power. They were the power, right? But when you get countries that are breaking off and saying, no, we don't want, and we don't want to pay you any more money, you have no. So that type of change, definitely. They didn't have computers, but a lot of changes when it came to um, how things were done, how things were structured, the new structuring of the world around them, right? Was a really big thing. The other time was in 1778. So that was bringing in another new type of structure. What was that structure like? And bringing in a new world order. You had in 1776 the Declaration of Independence, but nobody knew what that was going to mean, right? It was something they got together. They thought it was sounded like a good thing. It was based on many different, we can go back into history, for the Declaration of Independence, but how that implemented change in the world, and how people did things, how people thought, how people connected, how people interacted. Now we're coming to today. Now we have these computers. How are we interacting? How are we connecting? Right? How is that changing the way we do and deal with one another? And that's what the computer's doing. So this is where, and I know this is like cars that drive themselves, right? Um, having robots in your house. I mean, very Jetson like, right? And so that's where things are going. They're not self-aware. I mean, to be self-aware, that means that they have to actually know that they're a computer. Like I am a like, hopefully I'm somewhat self-aware, maybe not, but that I am human. I'm putting that in quotation marks, right? So, am I human? Um, it's within that connection. So the connections, the way that we are going to be dealing with everyday life is really going to be changing over the next, 2025 is going to be the huge kicker. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be messy, and it's going to get people really freaking out, right? Just like when people freaked out that all of a sudden you woke up, you can't be Catholic anymore. You're Catholic, we kill you. Not as bad as what Bloody Mary did, after, as Bloody Mary came in after Henry and stuff. So, so made, some really crazy changes. And then, of course, King James came in, and King James came in after, I think, Queen Elizabeth, then, yeah, Queen Elizabeth, then King James. King James, I mean, he wrote the King James Bible. So all of that from that triggered event, my one triggered event, this is what happened, right? So out of the triggered event of what's happening from 2019, 2020 to now, what are those triggered events that are creating this newness that is coming into this world? And this is also getting people to start to begin where the questioning of, and that's going to be a huge one for 2025, who is human? Who is human? What is it to be identified as a human? And what does that look like and mean? So that's going to trigger some other events that are going to be unfolding within 2025. It's going to freak people out, just like the other thing that I predicted in 2019 that freaked people out. Well, a lot of events that happened during that time altered humanity, altered who what we would call human is, what a human is, right? So what does that look like within the new ones that are being born with all of that? I know it's very crazy and abstract for people. So, yeah, so that's some of the craziness that's going to be unfolding. Yeah. So, everybody, oh, I've been on here for over an hour. So, not wanting to take up your time. I think I've lost some people on YouTube. They're like, "Oh my God, Mama's getting crazy. It's getting too crazy." Yeah, there's a lot that I feel is really going to start getting people freaking out and um just going, yeah, going, just I just get like the changes, the things, I mean, working in the mall, seeing, you know witnessing how bad the economy really is, right? And how bad this Christmas I feel is, people are trying to hold it together. People are trying to make this the best they can make. And trying to keep that smile on their face, and but know that, holy shit, it's not all of, uh, rainbows and puppy dogs and unicorns, shall I say. So yeah, so there's and this and yeah, just gonna get crazy. Anyways, that's all I gotta say. Got me still here. Good to see you and hear you and listen to you. Thank you. Well, yeah, it's funny how, you the spiritual essence of everything is a huge piece, a part of the chaos, right? Because we have a generation that doesn't have that spiritual connection, or don't know what that spiritual connection is. And we have a generation um that has missed out. And you know what? We can go right again, we can go back to, the time of very similar to 1776, 1777, and we had a whole era of young people that were coming in that were, you know, didn't know much, didn't they came from England. The things were, things were pretty good. Things were going well. What do I have to worry about, right? Um where they had to learn that this is what we have to do. If you want to keep this way of living, if you want to keep the good life, you got to fight for it. You can't just sit on the sidelines. You have to stand up for it, right? Same thing that happened in England with King Henry. People, do you want to make a better life? How are you going to make that better life for yourself, right? And stand up for it. So it's bringing in this enchilada of transmutation and change and transcendent and all of that, to people having to begin to connect with the essence and the true spirituality. Um, I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of eyes are going to be opened up, and especially because of religion and things like that, people are going to, um, a lot of things are going to be revealed within religion, within structures and things like that. So, um, I had one question that somebody goes, "So I guess this is the end of the Catholic Church," and I went, No. It isn't. It's still one of the bigger foundations of religions in the world, and the conversion to the Catholic Church is huge. The actually it's on the rise, which is interesting to hear about as well. Life will make them wake up. Yeah, life will. The thing is, it's amazing where, because it's been so to become, as you said, self-aware, like so self-centeredness, so consumption, right? Consumers, and wanting to consume, wanting to have I need to have this or I need to have that. Um, the thing is, it's coming to the end of influencers, right? So influencers aren't going to be the ones that are out there. That's from Pluto and Capricorn, right? And so we're not going to have those, influencers out there right now. I mean, that the TikTok is being banned from the United States. Well, that's, of course it's going to be banned from the United States. It's owned by China. TikTok's owned by China. TikTok has been taking everybody's information. You know, we have all of Silicon Valley basically jumped ship from Democrat onto with Trump. So we're seeing all these big guys going over with Trump, because they know that in order to make these new advancements, to do the things that they want to do, they got to be with the Republicans, and do things in this new way, in a new direction. So huge wake up calls. And it's amazing how so many, like, I don't even argue with people anymore, like, well, try not to. um or just when I say things, or I mention something about, um or something's mentioned about either the woke society or whatever, I'm like, I'm not going to argue with you, because you don't want to hear what anybody has to say, and you're going to take whatever you believe, and then that's it, and put on the blinders. You don't want to see what else is going on. And that's going to be the other thing, is people's blinders are going to come off, and how things are going to unfold with that. So, but we're entering into a new bright world, a different world, and a world that's going to get us to have to connect with one another, have to be with one another. Or here's the flip side, or it's going to be where you want to connect with people, you got to put the goggles on, you know, and go into the ocular, like, go into the VR world, the virtual reality world, right? So that's where, when it comes to the changes, when it comes to humanity, what is that connection with humanity? What is it to be human? So, which is all part of this dramatic changes that are coming in with everything. So, anyways, I'm gonna love you and leave you. It's 9:15. It's time for me to go to bed, because I have to get up early in the morning and get to work. So I want to love you and leave you all. If you do have questions, ask. We'll see what I can do. See what I can shake up, right? And sending you so much love, guys. So may the Lord Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you, and all you say and all you be and all you do. Hope you have a blessed one. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of my world. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye bye. I lost everybody on YouTube.